I'm not sure if this is how all couples say good morning to each other on top of a 115-foot leg, but good morning, Sandy.
Good morning.
So we're having some issues with our leg, nothing major. There's just a little switch down where we have a diverter that either sends grain to our top dry grain dryer that I showed in the last video, or it goes to a distributing head that it decides what bins to go to based on which bin we have selected. So it goes down those pipes that you see that went to the center of the bin. So a bad switch on it, so I just kind of pulled that out this morning and then manually turned the diverter to go to our overhead bin, so it's going down into the distributor and not to our top dry. This leg we put in, it's 115 feet, so we're 115 feet up right now, and it's a beautiful October morning, a little on the frigid side, but other than that it's not too bad. Give you an idea how high we are. There's a sheep barn there. There's where we took off some corn silage. There's some corn of ours there, and there's a field we were harvesting beans in yesterday. Just got started. So anyways, this leg basically elevates the grain up, as I said, 115 feet in this thing here, and it basically, the cups fling the grain into this, and then it actually goes down into the distributor. So that's a view from the top of the leg down to the bins. So right there is the distributor, and I'll go down to the platform down there so you can have a better look at it. So basically what happens is the grain from the elevator leg here gets sent down and goes to that distributor, and if it doesn't want to go to that distributor, there's a little valve right there that will send it to the dryer. So when the dryer needs grain, that valve will flip over and send grain to the dryer, and when it doesn't need grain, it will flip back to the distributor head right there and send it to whatever bin we have selected. So right now we're on the distributor platform right here, and this is looking up at the distributor, and those pipes each go to a different bin. So this little dial right here I can turn down on the ground level, and what it does is it rotates a device inside that selects what bin we want the grain to go down, or what tube we want the grain to go down, and they basically go down to each of the bins. So that's kind of basically how the leg works. As I said, it's 115 feet, elevates the grain to the top. It either decides to go to the distributor head above me or to the dryer. When it goes to the distributor head, there's a selection device inside there that lets me pick any of the 5 bins that we can go to with it. What we do have actually expansion for 3 more bins on this distributor. There's 3 more holes left over, so technically we could build 3 more bins and have pipes go to those bins and select them and fill them with grain as well. So I'm gonna start heading back down, and hopefully we get at soybean harvest again today, which we should. Good breeze first thing this morning here, sun's shining, bit of a heavy dew, but the soybeans yesterday that we started to harvest, some guys cut, some guys, well, I don't know, there's so many different terminology. We say combining. So the beans I was combining yesterday were about 14.5–15%, so I think they're okay for what little we harvested. We can throw in the bin and put the aeration on, or some air on, and that air pushes up through the beans and helps kind of dry them and cool them down and take some of that moisture out so they don't sweat. So I'm gonna head down and see where the morning takes us. Well, we're back in the combine. It's October 9th and we're harvesting white beans. So if you watched my one video where we were doing black beans, what we would call an edible bean, we're harvesting white beans, which are also edible bean that are used for baked beans basically, and probably some other dishes as well. I'll give you a shot of the sample at some point here, but we're really struggling to combine these ones. They're not as nice as the black beans. They got a little bit growthier and have lodged over, and we're not making real good time. The weather's been a little tough as well. We've been having some really heavy dews at night and not a lot of heat and wind during the day. Today's a little bit nicer and we got a little bit more of a breeze, but they don't dry out very fast, not like a soybean. So what we did was Monday, Tuesday, we took off a field of soybeans that we want to get wheat planted into, so we finished up that soybean field late yesterday afternoon, cleaned out the combine, switched into some white beans here, and then I've been at white beans since about 1 o'clock today. We got started planting wheat in that 68-acre field. Sandy was doing that. We ran into some GPS problems, what I guess you call first world problems, where the auto steer wasn't working right, and just trying to get some headlands planted. And she also ran into an issue where one of the rows weren't planting, so she had to fold up and take it home. I'll look at it tonight after I get shut down off the combine. She had to go off to a sheep board meeting tonight, and she'll be gone tomorrow as well. So I called in the recruitment. Monty's helping me out, haul some wagons, and we'll see how things make out. But I think we finally got some white beans that are dry enough here now that we can send off. Just like black beans, the moisture for white beans is 18%. The first load that went in was I think 18.7 or 18.8 or 18.9. So hoping this next set's a little drier. Just gonna finish going back up towards the road, and then Monty will be full and he'll take that set of wagons in. So that's what these white beans look like. It's a little thinner back here, so they're not as lodged over, but they just got a bit of a lean to them. It's kind of hard to see, but it just makes them a little bit more difficult to kind of get them up off the ground and into the header. So instead of doing like 3.2, 3.4 mile an hour in the black beans, we're only doing about 2.6, 2.7. So we're going a little bit slower to kind of give time for the reel to kind of go forward, and those beans that are lodged, kind of pick them up and lift them up so the cutter bar can get underneath them and cut them and get them put into the combine. So these ones seem to be a lot, I guess, more viney. What we would call them as tendrils. They kind of shoot out like a pea, if you know what a pea looks like. If you ever growing them in a field or in a garden, they have these kind of little tendrils that like to grow out and curl around things. These white beans tend to do that as well. This variety more so than some others, and because of those tendrils, they kind of get knotted together a little bit, and they get caught on the reel, and you can see sometimes they fling out past the reel. So anyways, that's kind of what I'm up to so far. We got 2 more days hopefully of white beans that we can get them finished before rain on Friday. And that's the issue with edible beans, is rain can really start to impact the quality of them. The stalks on these ones are starting to get a little black. They're not too bad yet, but what happens is that some of that blackness or disease that can start to grow on the dead tissue of the plant can actually start to bleed through the pod and cause off color on the white beans, and they don't look as white, and then we get deducted on our grades because of that. So I'm just going to kind of keep picking away here and see how much we can get off today, and hopefully we can get some wheat planted in this field tomorrow as well. The thing about clipping white beans is that you got to be very, very low to the ground. and so I had my knife kind of tipped forward like this, and what it tends to do is catch some rocks and flick them up into my draper head, and then they could actually end up in front on a dead spot in the draper head, right in the center where the center belt actually feeds it into the combine, or sometimes they actually make it into the combine. And we have a stone trap in the combine, which is basically a big cylinder that runs right before it goes into the guts of the combine that do all the threshing and separating of the grain from the straw or the residue or the stubble. That stone trap, when a stone comes up, because it's a little heavier, that cylinder actually bangs it down into an area in the combine that is a stone trap, which catches the stones. The problem yesterday was this little beast. Now you wonder how a stone this big can actually cause Mark a lot of problems. Well, I thought I destroyed my combine. I just about had a freaking mental breakdown. And those of you who run combines know how bad stones are. So when a stone goes through a combine, it's not soft like the residue and the plant material that's going through the combine. It's kind of soft, it gets beat up. It's kind of like a washing machine in a way. And what we're trying to do is instead of spinning out water of the clothes, we're trying to spin the grain out of the crop material, and that grain gets kind of further separated below in the combine and then ends up in my grain tank in my combine. So imagine if you put a stone like this in a washing machine. It would make a heck of a racket. And that's precisely what happened to my combine. It sounded like I ate a huge massive boulder, so I just about died, because that can destroy the inside of a combine. I've heard rumors of guys having $20,000 worth of damage, stone damage in a combine from like a stone going into it. So I panicked because A, we're trying to get these white beans off under good quality, B, we're racing the weather, and C, it just sounded god awful. So I'm like, oh my god. Anyways, long story short, all it was this little stone. But these stones in our area are even tougher than concrete. They are hard stones. And it bent a little bit inside my combine on the separating part, nothing major. It didn't affect the performance of the combine, but I actually had to go to the shop with the combine, tear out a few sections of the threshing to actually get in and get my hand in here to get the stone out. The thing that caused the biggest damage with this stone, or why it made so much noise, it's just like the perfect width of the distance between my inside rotor of the combine that does the work to move the crop through and the grates that let the grain fall through. It's about an inch gap, an inch to inch and a half gap, or 25 to 30 mils. And that stone was just perfect to catch the threshing element. And it got jammed between the threshing element and the rotor and just made a hell of a noise. Lucky enough, as I said, it didn't do much damage. Just made a lot of noise. I got it popped out, kept it as a souvenir to remind me that be careful of stones, because they can scare the bejesus out of you. On a positive note, after that, I did not want to talk to a camera. I wanted to focus purely on harvesting beans and making sure we had no more stones going in the combine. And we were lucky enough to finish that field last night. So we got 60 acres of white beans off. I'm gonna try to plant that field of wheat here yet this morning, or get a good start on it, and then start a 86 acre field of whites that we get harvested by Friday night. For those of you who don't know what the inside of a combine looks like, or if you're interested, leave me a comment in the video and I can walk through it someday, maybe on a wet day when I have a little bit more time. I can take some shields off the combine and kind of do a step-by-step on how the grain is, you know, basically goes in as a crop at the front of the header and then comes out of the combine as residue and then grain in the grain tank. So if you're interested in that, put a comment down below and I'll try to do that someday here when I got some time. But in the meantime, I'm just going to kind of pick away at planting some winter wheat. Hopefully get at white beans around 1 o'clock this afternoon. I'm hoping by then dew's burnt off and the moisture is good on them. There's a good breeze. It was a good breeze all overnight, but we still got a heavy dew, which is kind of weird. When you got a high breeze at night, you usually don't get a dew, but we got a pretty heavy dew. So we're gonna be not combine until about 1, and then when I get going, I'll take you along for the journey. Well, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I just finished another load of wheat planting out of the drill. Got about 40 acres planted this morning, and I'm just gonna head down the road with the truck and the header wagon to hopefully get at harvesting some white bean. Well, it's Friday, October 11th, I believe. Start combining white beans. I figured I got an early start because it's like 11:30. 10 minutes in, I'll show you what happened. So it's windy, but I got a stone so bad that I had to take the header right off the combine. I'll show you how big this bugger is. That thing there is a destroyer of combines. It broke off these fingers that help feed the crop into the feeder house. Broke 2 of those off. I think that's all I did in terms of damage. So I got to get Sandy to run to town to get some new ones and get them replaced. But thank God it got stuck between the feeder house here and in there, so holy crap. Well, we're back combining. I got that stupid stone out of the header and the feeder house, which is good. Good spot, I guess, for it to stop. No damage done that I can see of. Sandy got me a couple fingers, but right now it's feeding okay, so I'm not gonna stop. We're racing the weather to get these whites harvested, and you can maybe hear in the background, they're got a lot of life in them yet, and this is why we spray them, to desiccate them, just to make them combine a little better. But basically they're still a little bit green, and I don't know, I got stuff in my face. They're a little bit green, and they just sound really hard going through the combine. They're really stringy, and the chopper doesn't like chopping them, and they're not fun to combine. Now the turtles went through no problem, the black turtle beans. These white beans are just being a bit of a bear, and I'll be glad when we're done them. We got about I don't know, 30 acres left. Just going through a stony spot here. Try to be vigilant about not getting stones in the combine. I haven't got much footage of doing white beans just because it's taken all my attention. I can hardly get the camera on, and then I got a problem or something's going on. So like right now I'm going through a spot and it's just not combining nice at all, like complete garbage. It's just really slow going, which is frustrating because we want to get these off, try to get some soys off. You know, Sandy always says in the wintertime you get caught up on the price you get paid for these things, and then you sometimes forget about how much of a pain in the butt they can be to get harvested. I'll just show you what I'm dealing with. So here's the white beans, pardon the wind and the noise, but just standing them. I got Brett run the combine, I gotta go to a wedding. We only got about 7 acres left here and we'll be done, so that's good. But as you can see, they're lodged over. they're not very high off the ground. We're just able to sink the knife kind of underneath and grab them, but it's still not great. And the wind's really good, the humidity's low, and it's warm out, so they're shelling out really easy too. So I'm glad we're going to be done here shortly, because they've been a frustrating crop to grow here and harvest this year. Planting wheat, harvesting beans at the same time, in the same field. She's a big push, big push.